So this is the part of my business that allows me to make all my money. It's the most important important part. It's the...
How'd you do that?
I see that success is not something you pursue. It is something you are.
So if there's one thing that allows me to make money in anything, it's the fact that I do a lot of follow-up. And the follow-up is where you make all your money. I constantly say this. I constantly tell people it's all in the follow-up. So I'm going to walk you through my whole follow-up process. Basically, you should be living in your CRM. I mean, that's literally where I'm at all day, every day. I'm in my CRM 24/7 because the CRM, it simply tells you when to follow up. So if you're doing it right, if you're building your outbound process right and your marketing right, you are constantly saying whenever you contact an event, you're constantly reminding yourself when to follow up for the next day and for the day after that. And I mean, you don't follow up literally one day after the next, but it's more like, okay, next week, and then 2 weeks after that, and then a month after that, and you're spreading it out. So that's what I'm essentially doing. I mean, it helps you keep track of everything that you're doing. That's what a CRM is for. So the way I work is when someone expresses interest, I essentially convert them into a deal into my CRM. So as soon as someone says, hey, we're interested, or any type of interest whatsoever, where I contact them and then they say, yeah, send us your stuff, or this committee does any sign of interest, I essentially put that into the CRM, and then I have a follow-up date inside the CRM. I guess if you want to learn more about how I find the events, you can just invest in Event Finder, because that's where I talk about how I find the events, what I say when I contact them. Right now I'm just talking about the follow-up process, but they usually say, send us your information. That's usually what they say. So I'll contact them, and then they say, send us your info. At that point, I send them my website. Once I send them my website, I immediately put it into the CRM as follow up on X date. And this depends on when their event is. And it also depends on what that first email was about. Usually they'll send me a response before I need to follow up with them. I don't usually follow up like immediately. I don't say, okay, they send me an email, and I don't say, all right, let me follow up them tomorrow. Usually it's in a couple of days, because the way this whole process works is it's spread out over time. And the follow-up is really there just to kind of remind them of you in general. So that's how I'm following up. And I also want to point out that I tend to create follow-up dates based on their event. So for example, 7 to 8 months out is usually the bigger events. So if it's a huge event, I mean like 1,000 or more, if it's a pretty big event, that means they plan out 7 to 8 months and sometimes years in advance. And this is when I'll set up the follow-up dates. So if I know that if it's August or something, then I'll follow up with them in January. So January, 8 months before their event, I'll follow up in January. So it really comes down to when their event is. 6 months is a good date for most events, but I usually follow up just consistently throughout the entire year. So in most follow-up emails, I tend to look for something where I can add something new to what I'm saying. I don't just say, hey, I'm following up based on last time. Are you guys interested? I don't really say that. I usually say something like, hey, John, we talked briefly a while ago, and I was curious, when do you guys start planning for X event? So I'll ask something new, or I'll make a statement about something. If I notice, okay, they hired Bill Clinton last year, I'll say, I'll mention Bill Clinton, but whatever it is, I always say something new in the follow-up process. It's not just like, hey, are you guys interested? I don't really do that. The whole process is to really keep top of mind, the whole TOMA, top of mind awareness, that sort of thing. That's the whole follow-up process. That's essentially what I'm doing. And you're using your CRM to keep track of just when you need to talk to people and to remind you of what to talk about. So if you do this enough, if you're contacting enough people in order to fill up your schedule, you won't be able to keep track of all the conversations you're having. I mean, that's just a fact. You'll have so many conversations, you won't know, hey, is this guy, should I talk to him about how they hired Les Brown last year? Should I talk to him about Bill Clinton last year? Should I talk? You won't know because you're talking to so many people. So the CRM is really there to kind of remind you of what to talk about. And follow-up to most people is done, well, most speakers follow up, they follow up by just remembering. They're like, okay, I got to follow up with this person today, and I got to follow up with this person today. That's a sign that you're not contacting enough people, because if you're contacting enough people, there's no way you will remember to follow up with all of them. Absolutely none, zero, zippo. There's so many people you're contacting, there's no way you can remember it. And most speakers, the reason why they don't build their business, the reason why they don't make their money is because they just say, oh yeah, I gotta follow up with so-and-so. Oh yeah, I gotta follow up with so-and-so. Versus I get reminders on my phone with the CRM, the base CRM, they got the app here. I get reminders on my phone and it says, bam, today you follow up with this, and this person. So this is essentially what gets me on stages. It's really the follow-up process. Everything else, it's great and all, just contacting people is great and all, but what gets me on stages is the follow-up process. I mean, the people that I contacted last year, those are the people hiring me right now, today, this very second. And if you're trying to build your speaking business, if you're trying to market yourself, you got to understand that there is a lag time between when you contact people and when you get hired. And if you're not contacting people today, if you don't do it right today, then in a year from now, you're going to wonder, like, why is nobody hiring me? Why am I not making money? Why am I not getting on stages? So there's a lag time. And if you want to learn the entire follow-up process, the entire system from finding the event, to contacting the event, to building your team, to getting people to book gigs for you, if you want to learn the entire process, you got to invest in the Event Finder program or just Speak Pro Academy and get everything, really. But the Event Finder program, it shows you my entire process, and it's the most detailed information you will ever get in terms of outbound marketing when it comes to getting on stages. If you want to get on stages, this is how you do it, the Event Finder program. And it really comes down to your follow-up systems. If you know how to follow up, you're going to get on stages. If you don't, you're going to struggle.